Mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to our channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that the video is going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine, as you can see. Kisumu is fantastic, and maybe you could also let me know where you're watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, Rigathi Gachagua yesterday returned back into the country. And I don't know what your opinion is about the whole return, whether you considered it a success or a flop. But in my own considered opinion, the whole thing was a total disaster.
It was a turbulent touchdown for Rigathi Gachagua at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, arriving at around 2 p.m., engulfed by a surging crowd of supporters, his signature cowboy hat tumbling off repeatedly in the push and show.
It was a big flop. In this video, I want to explain to you guys why personally I strongly believe that it was a huge flop, and Rigathi Gachagua should be very careful with one man called Cleophas Malala. Before I do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, why do I strongly believe that the whole event was a huge flop? Remember, Rigathi Gachagua was supposed to address a final rally at Kamukunji grounds. That did not happen. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, these are the reasons why the event flopped. Number one, the event was overhyped. Cleophas Malala wrote the script, and he fashioned it as if it was going to be a national event. As a matter of fact, Cleophas Malala promised Kenyans that yesterday was going to be a national holiday.
Wash business.
I was shocked. It did not turn out to be a national holiday.
I can tell you for free.
Thank you for joining us.
No, but I cannot leave here without telling you that the king is coming tomorrow.
Who's that?
Ricky,
the leader. Wow.
The king is coming tomorrow. And Eric,
King is, yeah, I was about to say, we're not in a kingdom. When did we get a king?
Eric, tomorrow I will want to ask you to join with family, go to a retreat. Tomorrow is a public holiday.
Oh, no, you can't say that if it's not gazetted. Samanala, you can't say that.
I am telling you.
You decide.
You did, no, you can't say that.
No,
it's not a public holiday.
So what happens? So he's coming.
He is coming. He will receive a majestic reception, because that is the person who speaks for Kenya. That is the person who speaks for Kenya, and therefore I want to ask.
So there's a rally or what?
No, we are receiving him, a grand reception at JKIA. We will have a procession, a majestic procession in honor of a king that is returning from the United States of America. And I've had speculations. People are planning to plant some goons to disrupt the process. I want to ask those people kindly. The king is coming. Humble yourselves and wait for the majestic walk of the king from JKI.
What kingdom? What kingdom?
Kingdom of DCP. Let's leave it at that.
The deputy king has been our guest. William Lala. These are the titles in the DCP party. Okay, we go with them. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The truth is, Rigathi Gachagua wanted to copy Matiba. He wanted to copy Uhuru and Ruto when they returned from the Hague. He wanted to copy Baba while you were away, which means we have to view the success of this event alongside the Baba while you're away, Matiba's return in 1992, and Uhuru Ruto Hague homecoming. It was nowhere near those three events. Let me take you through Baba while you're away, because I was part of it.
Baba while you are away, Ruguta akafukuzwa kazi na SMS. Watu wa Rift Valley walalia. Angalia hiyo mambo.
Kila mara hiyo ni kama amechuna ya punda, na tutahakikisha kwamba tumeshikana yeye bega kwa bega, macho kwa macho, magoti kwa magoti, uso kwa uso. Hatutaki mchezo. Lazima kama wanataka kurudi Kibera wakuje waombe msamaha, wapige maragoti na waseme mara ngapi? Mara 3. Raila baba, Raila mwana.
When Baba left the country for Boston, that was in 2014, for 3 months, he left the country. And when he announced he was coming back, a group of ODM operatives at that time, me included, decided, because by that time Baba was so low, members of parliament had dumped him, Uhuru and Ruto were consolidating power, and therefore they were winning the support of most of those MPs. The people he had placed in government were not picking his calls. Baba was isolated. So we decided that let us just go, a few of us, and receive him at the airport. Unfortunately for us, we had social media presence. So we started hyping this event just to attract a few other people to also join us. By the time we realized, the entire country was talking about Baba while you're away. Baba while you're away was the daily trend on Twitter around that time. Media houses picked Baba while you're away. A few days before his arrival, one of the ODM operatives from Meru, Morocco I remember, was interviewed, and he talked about Baba while you're away, and he became the face of that Baba while you're away. Before we knew, members of parliament started joining. NASA at that time started organizing how now to receive Baba. I can assure you, the people who had that plan, the vision, were nowhere finally during the organization, because the hype became just too much and everybody was involved. For this one, the start was overhyped. It didn't start from the people. Malala just told Rigathi, I want you to go to the US for 2 months, come back, we create another Matiba. That is why it failed. That's number one, overhyped. There was no need. If I were Malala, what I would have done is that as the Secretary General of DCP, I would have organized maybe the county officials or sub-county officials of the party, around them, all of them, and ask aspirants and the elected leaders supporting Rigathi to converge and just to go to the airport to receive Rigathi. Kenyans would have been surprised that, hey, Kwani Rigathi Gachagua was just out of the country and is coming back, and this is how it's being received. So the fact that it was overhyped, Kenyans now started waiting to see whether it was going to match Baba while you're away, Uhuru Ruto Return. It was nowhere near those. And again, let me just tell you how the Baba while you're away was organized. Raila was supposed to have a final rally at Uhuru Park. Rigathi also was supposed to have a final rally at Kamkunji. In the morning, instead of people going to the airport, most people were at Uhuru Park. So there was serious hype at Uhuru Park even before Raila arrived. People were seated there, waiting, dancing for him. I doubt if Kamkunji was anything, if anything was happening there. But for me, it was overhyped. Number two, and before we get into all those details, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you guys to Fadhili Africa Limited, the best soil testing experts in Kenya today. You cannot keep on planting on guesswork and expect miracles. Your soil holds the answer. Fadhili Africa Limited gives instant on-site soil testing results, informing you of exactly what fertilizer your crop needs in order to boost the yield. Serious farmers are already seeing the difference. Contact them on the contact you are seeing on your screen, either through phone call or WhatsApp. Ladies and gentlemen, let us proceed. The absence of core principles. You see, when Matiba was coming back into the country, the organizers of that event at that time knew what they wanted to achieve. They wanted to make Matiba a hero in the eyes of the Kikuyus. Because Moi knew at that time that if Matiba had joined Jaramogi, he was doomed. And he was also keen on splitting the Kikuyu votes because Kibaki was also running at that time. So they wanted Matiba to emerge as a king. Rigathi was already a king of the mountain. But these guys wanted to use Rigathi's return to stamp his authority in the opposition. So the other core principles shied away. If you look at Uhuru and Ruto's return from the A, if you look at Uhuru and Ruto's return from the Hague, the two had agreed that all of us, we are principals, we have a common enemy. And that enemy, by that time, the government wanted Ruto to split from Raila. So they wanted a way where Ruto was going to be elevated. And at the same time, Uhuru also elevated. So the objective was very clear. When Raila Odinga was in the US, the core principals joined him. Why? Because Raila was the principal in NASA. He was the presidential candidate. The other guys were behind him fully. So they were not competing for any leadership. So it was possible for Kalonzo and his supporters to join Raila while you're away. It was possible for Wetangula and his team to join Baba while you were away. And that's how they were able now to attract a lot of supporters to Uhuru Park and also to the airport. Rigathi was solo with Malala and the known supporters around him. Number 3, and this is where they actually failed the most. There was no emotional trigger in this return. Let me ask you, why do you think Rigathi Gachagua went to the US? He was just here, decided to go to the US, yet knows to the country he was going to take was it 2 or 3 months? He came before that time. Then he was coming back. Was there any emotional reasons which would take Rigathi Gachagua supporters to the airport? There was no emotional trigger. Let me tell you how emotional trigger helped Ruto and Uhuru when they were making that homecoming. These guys were facing serious challenge at the ICC. The government using the NIS ensured that they appeared as if they were victims. So the Kikuyu nation and the Kalenjin nations had their sons being tried outside the country. And their sons were subjected to, you remember. So they wanted to show solidarity with their sons. That's why when they came back, it was that huge. There was an emotional trigger. When Raila Odinga went to Boston, there was kind of emotional trigger. Raila Odinga had been defeated. He was lonely. Because remember, when he was in Boston, he never talked much. He never talked much like Rigathi. So there was that element of missing him, element of wanting to stand with him. But what about Rigathi Gachagua, really? There was no emotional trigger. For Matiba, we all know that he was arrested. He went for medication. So there was that element of our man being persecuted by Moi, sick, coming back. For Rigathi, there was no emotional trigger at all. If I were them, I would have waited for the right time to create that emotional trigger, and then people are going to now come and even shed tears. Number 4, and I think this is the most important one, and I can see the hands of government in it. Stale news. When Rigathi Gachagua left the country, he went to the US. What was he going to do? Because Rigathi Gachagua went to the US, he talked too much, if you had to ask me. In fact, there is nothing new which Rigathi Gachagua was going to tell Kenyans when he landed into the country. For example, the best thing Rigathi would have told Kenyans was about this US radar on Ruto. He spoke all of them while he was still there. So he'd have arrived into the country and told the country for the first time that, I was in the US. And this is what I've gathered. That Ruto is doing this and the US government are not happy. So today, the headlines would have been about the US radar on Ruto. But he spoke about it there. So when he was coming back, nothing new. Nothing new. Apart from Malala telling Kenyans that their king is back and is going to be public holiday. Let us listen to this guy here.
You see, like now they tried, as my brother here is saying, like Matiba, like that point, it did not work like Matiba, like the other people. It is going down, it's not the way it was. And again, Gachagua could have understand with his advisors as him, to advise him and tell him, when he was there in America, he talked too much, so there's nothing people are waiting. He talked so much, he said many things, so people waiting for what? There's no good new news. You know, the time of Moi, people used to go airport. When he comes, they will have a meeting in the airport and with people. People will sing for him, and he will say where he was and what is called or what happened. But nowadays, it's not that way. Now it is completely different. Because that time people could go there in a big number to listen. He went, they did not know what he was doing. Can we wait for him to tell us? Now Gachagua talked too much outside. So people had nothing else to wait because they have all the news which he was saying. It goes that way in politics. And my friend, I will maybe ask him, can you offer free advice on the both sides, because you are Kenyans and also you like peace. Advice. We have been in politics. I'm born in politics myself. I've been with Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, and this. I know how politics is played. And many people don't know the cards of politicians, how they play. And at the end of the day, the results come.
And lastly, I think the whole thing was rushed. Rigathi just decided, okay, I'm coming back into the country again. Then gave 2 or 3 days, I'll be back. How do you organize a successful event which is rushed like that? How? Nothing. So what was the rush for? Was Rigathi Gachagua rushing back into the country because, for example, Matiang'i was now back into the country and he feared that in his absence, Matiang'i would attempt to go to the mountain in his absence? Because remember, we saw Rigathi Gachagua, because remember, we saw Matiang'i in Meru the other day. Yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you think. That's my take. If you think it was a success, please let me know in the comment section and why you believe so. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.